So I have a release date locked in. I'm planning for the Friday of the weekend of Vernal Equinox. Ironically, that's when my EP Dark Mode came out. But I'm hoping for the weekend of Vernal Equinox, mainly because it seems like a lot. I told all the artists I'm collaborating with that the hard deadline to get your vocals in is March.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor and got one hell of a guest, and that is...
Hey everybody, I'm Timekeeper. I'm a DJ and producer from British Columbia, Canada. Yeah, I'm a dirty Canadian.
Well, thank you very much, Timekeeper, for joining us. It's an absolute honor. I very much appreciate being able to meet you.
Yeah. Definitely. We appreciate you being here. Yippee. Dirty Canadian. That's a new one. I never heard that one before. Dirty Canadian.
People are going to make fun of me for that.
Oh,
you said you're dirty Canadian. How dirty are you?
I don't think being Canadian's that bad. One of my really good friends is Canadian. I've actually known him for a decade now.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how much of my American friends make fun of me for being Canadian.
Hey.
Oh, we get a lot of that. It's just who you are. Stuff
Canadian.
like that. It's okay. We understand. We understand you played in mud puddles just like everybody else. You just want to go a different route with it. That's cool.
Yeah, maybe when I was 5.
Canadians aren't too bad as long as you're not in California or from California. You're okay.
I know a ton of people in California right now. Holy crap.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, wow.
No disrespect to anybody from California. It's just that place is not good. Just saying.
Either way, before we start making fun of people and where they're from, everyone is perfectly fine regardless of where you're from. It's only in jest. But what are you most known for, Timekeeper, and how'd you get started with that and everything? Music and everything else in a VRchat?
Okay, so let me start with the music stuff first, because that's actually interesting to talk. Well, the other thing is too, but like this one. So like way back in the day when I was a kid, I used to listen to the radio all the time. Like literally the radio was always on no matter what I was doing, no matter if I was playing video games or just even like, because I did a lot of YouTube back in the day, because IRL, I collect clocks, and that was kind of my thing when I was like a kid, filming videos, be like, hey guys, here's all my clocks, my little squeaker voice. But so I had the radio going, and then all of a sudden I was listening to radio, and then there's this the radio announcer voice be like, here's a brand new song by the artist called the Chainsmokers with their new song #selfie, and the song came on and started playing. I was like, this is the world's stupidest song in the world, but the song actually kind of bops. So I looked up the Chainsmokers, and through the Chainsmokers I found artists like Tiesto, Martin. Well, I didn't discover Martin Garrix yet, but like Tiesto and a bunch of these other like big room house artists. I was like, holy crap, this is like its own culture thing. And then flash forward to like, I can't remember what year it came out, but the year that Martin Garrix's hit song Animals came out, he did a track breakdown on YouTube on it, and I just so happened to stumble across it. And I was watching the process of him actually like breaking down the track and showing how he made it. And I was like, this is really cool. I want to do this. Ironically enough, I didn't start producing till like freaking 2020. So, oh no, not 2020. It was 2021, I think, Furality Luma happened. That was the Furality I decided to start. But yeah, around that time period, I was like, damn, I want to do this. And then at that also time too, I started an interest into DJing. I saw all these live sets from like Hardwell, and at the time I wasn't really into the whole dubstep thing at the time. I occasionally I would listen to Skrillex. Skrillex was even blew me away at the time, little 13-year-old me. So flash forward to like I got my first controller literally right when the COVID-19 pandemic happened. So I was so upset. I was like, great, I got this controller, but I can't play any shows. And then I was directed by a friend of mine to somebody named Mblade, who was doing these VRchat raves and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I recorded a set with the controller and I sent it to him to play at one of his club events. And then he says, I'm going to save this for furality. And that's how I played for the very first furality ever.
Oh, wow.
And then I also played for 2000, and then I also got selected for Luma. And Luma was the time. Now, I was just trying to go over a stage name, like when Furality 2000, I was like, what do I call myself? Oh, my username at the time was Hexagon Jack, because I was obsessed with this record label called Hexagon. It's ran by another house artist named Don Diablo. He big into Future House. I was a Future House nerd back in the day, you can call me. So I called myself that, and it kind of stuck. Everyone started, making fun of the name pretty much, in all good fun. It wasn't like out of malice or anything, but they were all like, Warren D1, the owner of iWait, calls me Pentagon Jeff, and it's kind of a running gag in the whole thing. Even with my name change, they still call me those names, and after Furality Luma, that's when I started to pursue in the whole music production thing, and I started on FL Studio Mobile, and then from there I kind of went into I started discovering online DAWs for free. So I got SoundBridge, and then I bought Reaper. And then a friend of mine texted me and was like, "Oh, I got one hell of a Christmas present for you." I was like, "What are you talking about?" Next thing you know, he buys me Ableton, and I'm like, "Bro, you spent $1,000 on me," and he's like, "Yeah, enjoy." So he buys me Ableton 11, and I was freaking stoked because I've seen a ton of producers online use Ableton, so I was excited to use it. Lo and behold, I managed to manage the basics of Ableton pretty fast. Probably because I've seen so many freaking videos about Ableton, so that's probably why. And then coming, I think 2023, the name Hexagon Jack wasn't really sticking with me anymore. It just wasn't clicking with me, and I noticed a lot of watched a producer I was listening to. He said oh, you got to build a brand. You got to really make a brand that will really click. That will anybody would look at something and they would know who you are. And so I was thinking of names, and I kept looking at my collection currently, and I was like, what if I had something referencing time? And then I decided, I did some research on Spotify to see what names are taken, and I was like, what if I did Timekeeper, but instead of spelt normally, replace all the I's and E's with numbers, so it looks cool, and so I look hip with on any lineups with anybody. So yeah, and oh, I forgot to say how I got into the whole dubstep thing was the Chainsmokers again. Ironically, I probably told the story to death, but pretty much they came up with their EP called This Feeling. No, it was an album. They came out with an album called Sick Boy, and this song with Nightmare was on it called Save Yourself, and I was expecting trap, and lo and behold, the song was a dubstep drop, and I was like, what the hell? And so I literally looked into Nightmare. Through Nightmare, I found Slander. Through Slander, I found Spaghetti. Through Spaghetti, I found Never Say Die Recordings, and then boom, it was just a never-ending hill from there. The other thing I'm really well known for, aside from music and DJing, is I run a VRchat event called Hex Furry Fest. Around the same time Furality started up, I was following this music festival called Lost Lands Music Festival, and they did this thing where they were replaying all the sets from 2019 because, they couldn't do a festival, so they had to they replayed all the sets basically in full instead of, they have a thing where they show 30 minutes of each set and then they cut it off and then they show 30 minutes of another set. It's kind of weird how they do it, but I mean, it's whatever. So they did this rewind, and I saw people building stages around their TVs and stuff like that. I'm like, holy crap, I want to encourage people to do that. So through a friend named Zenik, or Liam Colley as they go by now, I messaged them. I met them through the VRchat events too, and I was like, I want to start up my own music festival, and so we band together. We started off as just a 3-person team with him and with them and another friend, and we grew into this big empire of people. And a furality staff friend of mine said to me that you get bragging rights that you started alongside with furality. You were one of the first events along with furality. I was like, oh, I mean, I don't like to say that, but I mean, if you're giving me bragging rights, I will brag. So yeah, that's how pretty much everything musically and event-wise started for me, and the event has grown into a big team of people, and I'm really proud of the work everyone does. Like the world development team did so well on the world this year, like the space theme and everything. Like there was maybe like minor critiques I had about it, like I wish there was an option to turn the moon gravity off, and I wish another thing was they didn't have pyrotechnics. No, I'm joking. But I'm kind of a pyrotechnic person. I love seeing pyro going off at shows every time a bass hits. Like, if I were to play a festival with pyro, I would. Even though my fear of fireworks gets me sometimes, but pyro's a different setting. It's, symbolized, holy crap, this is a crazy drop. So yeah, that was a long segment. I was not expecting to ramble on for that long.
It's A-okay. So what got you into VRchat and started with the music scene here?
I first heard of VRchat through Jacksepticeye. That was actually the very first time I heard of the game. He played it for a video, and I thought it was like the stupidest thing ever. I was like, this is so stupid. Like, this completely defeats the purpose of like Skype and all those other like things they're using. Because like back in the day, we were using Skype to talk to each other as furries. Like Skype and Omegle. Like those were like the 2 ways to meet furries at the time online, and like maybe like chats here and there and stuff like that. But this was before like Twitter really boomed off with the furry community and stuff like that. So like, what got me into VRchat, like to try it out, was Mblade again because of the VRchat thing. At the time, I didn't have a good computer, so I couldn't play it. But the time Furality Luma was close to rolling by, I had got into playing VRchat, and as I met so many friends, literally like the first few moments of me playing it, like it's where I met most of like the otter community that I hang out with, and a lot of friends. I was friends with a lot of otters back in the day. Those are literally the only people on my friends list at the time, was a whole bunch of otters, either otters or tatums. And then I got my first avatar created from a friend of mine. I bought the spaghetti deer avatar, and then that I was like, I want a tatum, so I got the tatum model too, and I got a friend of mine, Suflo Creations. I don't know if that's their brand name. I'm just gonna say Suflo Creations. Suflo retextured my tatum, and I still love that tatum. Like every time there's a tatum meet going on, I always go into that tatum and cause chaos, because that's the tatum thing. If you guys know Danny Gray, tatums cause chaos. If as soon as you see Danny Gray in an instance, you know there's about to be tatum chaos in there. Either Danny Gray or Irix, whatever one. But yeah, no, the whole this Nova Beast and the free count that I have came along where I wanted a mascot with Timekeeper. So and note that this Nova Beast and the free count that I have don't even have a name. They don't have a name. They don't have like an assigned name to them. They don't even have a nickname. They're just people just call me Jack in this avatar because whatever. I wanted like a mascot to go with my branding instead of it just being Jack associated with Timekeeper and people being like, oh, that's kind of ugh. So I created the free count at first, but then I got the Nova Beast because for the simple reason of them being absolutely adorable. So then I became the Nova Beast DJ. So that's pretty much how I got into VRchat, and honestly, I'm kind of glad I did, because if I didn't, the COVID pandemic for me would be very miserable.
Okay. So,
Question for him, Lion.
Shoot.
I got a question. Gotta ask him my famous one where he's at this point. When you first came into VR, what was the weirdest thing you ever saw and you go, nope, that's not for me, I'm out of here?
The weirdest thing I ever saw, oh boy, I think, oh god, there's so many weird moments I've seen on VR. I think the weirdest moment for me was I was on stage playing for CMFS, one of Corbell's events, and somebody ran on stage. Like they ran onto the stage. Well, you weren't able to get on the stage, but they ran up to the stage and said, "Timekeeper, you are my love. You are my daddy. You are Bass Dad," and ran away. And I just looked off. I looked to the camera person behind, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" It was somebody I had no idea who it was. I did not know them. It wasn't anybody who knew me. It was just somebody who knew of me and decided to say that.
I think I may know what I may call this video now.
Whoever you are, thank you.
Oh
Thank you
my gosh.
Thanks for calling me Bass Dad. Although that title is Excision's title, but thank you.
So, did you have any real world experience prior to VRchat playing music, or was it all like personal messing around with? It wasn't until like you started growing did you have that opportunity?
I'm sorry, repeat that again. My game kind of lagged a little.
Sorry, it's all good. Did you ever, like, prior to VRchat, did you have any real world experience with playing music for people IRL, or was it till like you started growing in VRchat did you start having that opportunity?
No, like I said in the beginning story, I didn't get my first DJ controller until the COVID pandemic hit. I did go to like dances in like in convention clubs. Like I went to the Vancouver dance and I went to the Howell dance and stuff like that. And I got my controller literally when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, so I didn't really play any shows for people. But the first show I ever played in person was Halloween 2021 or 2. I can't remember. I think it was 2021. But this was at a time where our health officer here in BC decided to blame the spread on COVID on dancing. So no one was allowed to dance. So my first performance was it was a good performance. It was a good set. I mean, some people came out when they could, but I was very sad that nobody could get up and really show their emotion to the music I was playing. So I was like, oh, great. So that didn't change till Vancouver 2022, where I got on stage for that. I literally packed the entire ballroom at one point, full with people. And this was at a time where I was very insecure about the music I play. I was like, because it's a thing where, like, I know I shouldn't really care what people think online, but furries dunk on heavy bass music all the time. Like, they say it's not danceable, you can't dance to it and stuff like that, and it's overplayed. And so I was thinking, like, nobody's gonna come out for this because I'm playing like dubstep. It's hard to dance to and stuff like that. I proved myself wrong by packing out the entire room, and I was like, oh my god, there's hope for me yet. I've yet to play a large-scale convention. I hope to sometime. I'm aiming for Infernal Equinox, hopefully. I am going to push for that one. But no prior experiences outside of VRchat other than after the COVID hit.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't a DJ OG. Sorry, cons. Sorry, cons.
It's all good. So what was some of your earlier shows in VRchat like after you got your DJ controller, and what was your thoughts of like the scene in your music at the time?
So when I played for the first Furality, again, I was very insecure about playing heavy bass music, so I did like a house set. It was received well. People didn't really have too much complaints about it. And for Furality 2000, there's a lot more people there. And I was getting shows here and there after it. Like I was playing tail bass and a bunch of other events, but things didn't really take off till Luma. When I played for Luma, a bunch of eyes were on me, and a bunch of club owners came up to me at the end of my Luma set and was like, "Yo, we want you to play our club. Come on, we want you to play our club." And I was like, really? And so my experiences on the whole like DJing in person, it doesn't have the same like click for me as it does in person, because in person I can have a lot more energy than having a big heavy VR headset on my head the entire time I'm playing.
Mm.
And when it's actually in person, like I can actually mix live, I can actually like say on the mic like, hey, this is a new tune for me and stuff like that. And I mean, that's one thing that I kind of gotta not do, is talk on the mic a lot. I have a habit of doing that. I'm very social on stage for some reason, even though I'm very antisocial off of stage. But after the whole Luma thing, that's when my life really changed. With like, I was getting like friend requests here and there, and a bunch of people that didn't know me at the time came up to me and was like, "Yo," and I want to tell you guys a little fun fact. If you guys
Mm.
know the DJ Raccoon, if it wasn't for my Furality Luma set, he probably wouldn't be here right now. He probably wouldn't be playing shows for you guys, because my Luma set is the reason that got him into DJing. So there you go.
Really?
I'm responsible for creating Raccoon. I'm Raccoon's long lost father. I'm Raccoon's creator.
How'd you find that out, may I ask?
How'd I find that out? He played his first show at Placeholder, and I didn't know it was him until he sent me clips of the Luma set at first. And I was like, oh, this is cool, to see in the world of everybody performing when I wasn't a laggy mess. And so I saw him play at Placeholder, and I didn't know it was him because he was in a Protogen avatar, and then he told me, he sent me clips of it. And I was like, is this you? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, when did you get into DJing? And he's like, after your Luma set, you encouraged me to start DJing. I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy I can inspire people to start DJing. Oh my god, I have that title now.
Oh, so you played multiple viralities in a row, even from what got you started. That's pretty impressive. How do you feel about being like having your
Yeah.
career directly tied to virality?
I would say it's tied to virality because I was growing off of other events too, like even before Luma. Like I played Vibe Night before Luma, and I had a decent reputation then. But like, I guess like part of why most people know who I am today is due to the Luma set, and like even like I applaud anybody who knows me from the earlier viralities as well, like 2000 and the first one. Like I know somebody who knows me from who was at my set for the first one. And when they were talking to me about it, I was like, "Wow, that is ages ago." And I not too long ago was digging through my archives of all the sets I've sent to Emblade, because that's how I used to do it back in the day. It was all pre-recorded stuff. Yeah, I was doing pre-recorded before everyone else was doing it. So it was all pre-recorded because it was at a time where I had pretty bad internet, so I couldn't really stream. So I had to like record the set and then put it together and stuff like that. And I found it. I found the old Furality set on YouTube, or on that I sent to Emblade. So I was like, wait, let me upload this because this is a piece of history, and I don't want this to get lost of time. And I'm gonna look back at it like 10 years from then and be like, wow, I started with that. I started with pretty bad setup.
Oh, okay. So what about the whole experience you've had at VR that propelled you to do what you're doing now, playing shows and continue to produce music? What about the whole thing invigorated you?
Seeing my friends playing shows, pretty much like every time I'd see a friend of mine get on stage and they're performing, like even like at Reality Umbra when that happened, seeing like somebody who's a fan of my music get on that stage and and to hear them play out a song of mine at Ferality, like that was another thing too that was really cool. Was from Ferality Aqua to onward, my music was being played out quite a bit. Like Loprov played out our songs up that we made a bit ago, like ages ago. And when I first heard that on the dances, I looked to a friend and I started freaking out because it was actually the very first time I had witnessed somebody playing out something that I've worked on, and I I lost it because that was actually the first. Again, that was the first time something of mine got played out, and that was one of my dreams, was to have other artists play out my stuff. And then it happened again when I did a song with Caliber called "Around You," and that got played out at furality. Silva, yeah, Silva. And then at Umbra, my remix for Electric and Sam Lamar, Black Magic, which was actually supposed to be for a remix contest, but I didn't end up submitting that. Uh, that got played out at Umbra, and that was actually the very first single that, it wasn't like a collab or anything. It was a single remix I did that got played out. So that was the very first single of mine that got played out by somebody. And after that, like even at IRL cons, my music was being played out. Like by Bloodless Demons played out Nightfall, and my remix I did for Goji, and then my friend DJ Sparks played out Nightfall multiple times, and then somebody apparently my stuff got played out at Anthrocon, and somebody played out something at FWA of mine, and I was like, bro, what? Yeah, no, the thing that inspires me the most is not only that, is like to be like, oh wow, I gotta keep making content for them to potentially play out. But another thing too is to hear the music in their sets, and then I would get inspired off of the music that they're playing in their sets. Like example, like a DJ I know named Shy or Stardust, they played like this like raw style stuff, and that encouraged me to make raw style myself. And so sometimes, like DJ friends, if you're watching, sometimes your sets inspire me to make music. So you have that to brag about. Be like, I made time to make the D. You have the title to say that now.
So, how much music have you produced since you started? And is there anything you've made with that has any meaning to you, or did you make with purpose?
I really don't have a story that follows my tracks. I think the only release that really follows a story is my upcoming third album, There's Nothing Here. I wanted that to be about mostly like, because when I write music, it's mostly have like really dark titles like Violent and Destroy, and I remixed a song called Dreaming, which was a very happy, uplifting song. But no, like I don't really follow a sort of story when it comes to my releases. I think the only time I really attempted a story was my Virtual Resistance album, which is actually the death of Hexagon Jack was that album. That's what it was, where basically he was fighting a monster in a virtual world, and he died to free everyone from the existence and stuff like that. And then my third upcoming album, There's Nothing Here, is basically symbolizing, or it's basically following a story of a kid who feels like he has nothing, and feels like that he is filled with like love, and sometimes he's filled with hate, and then he just looks at himself in the mirror and he says to himself about himself, "There's nothing here. There's nothing of you that I can find that I can find happiness in. There's nothing here." And that boy was me. It was based off of a true story where I was very, very down in my life. I was very, very depressed, and I looked myself in the mirror and I said, "There's nothing here about you. Like, I can't find anything in your future that I can see good. There's nothing here." And I was, obviously the cover-up story, because I didn't want to make it sound, it was like, oh, yeah, I was coming up with album names, and I was like, oh, there's nothing here. But no, it's like I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, there's nothing here. Like, I don't know why, I don't know what caused me to say it. I just randomly looked at myself in the mirror and I said, there is nothing here. And I was like, that's the album name, and all the song titles are going to be dark titles because of that moment.
So, what made you choose to tell a story about that moment?
It was just kind of showing people that, like, I'm not this, like, go happy, everyone knows I'm not the happiest person on earth sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll go on Twitter and I'll rant about something I don't like or anything like that, kind of like what Deadmau5 does, although I'm trying not to be Deadmau5, but sometimes I have my moments. But I wanted to tell a story about that moment because, my friend assumed that it was, I was getting to that mood, but I wasn't really feeling like that. I was mostly like feeling down because it was at a time. It was when FWA happened, and I saw these people like Loprov and Raccoon playing a big stage like that, and I wasn't there having fun with them. I'll own up to it, and I will say I am pretty jealous sometimes when like these overseas DJs that I know on VRChat are coming to play these American cons. Or some of my friends who have never played an American Con before play an American Con for the first time. I will say I did get a little jealous. And at that time, I went into the mirror and I said, there's nothing here. So I wanted to tell that story in an album, basically saying that, hey, whoever else is feeling this feeling, you're not alone, pretty much. And ironically, one of the songs on the album kind of tells that story. It's actually featuring the vocals of Corbell, and the song is called Better Off Alone, where the character tells himself he's better off alone and not with toxic people.
Hmm. Wow. That sounds like a really heavy subject to do an album about.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'll own up to it and say I do get jealous sometimes when I see like my friends having. It's not like, like, oh, I'm jealous that they're having fun and I'm not. It's kind of like a thing where like I'm jealous because I wish I was there, more thing. And that will change soon. I mean, I'm getting my passport soon, so I mean, I'll be able to have fun there eventually, but it just sucks at that time. I was just like, I'm not there and they're there, so I'm just kind of a little jealous. My friend told me that jealousy is fine as long as you're not hurting anyone in the long run. Like you're not like sabotaging or making false accusations and stuff like that, like most people do when they get jealous of somebody. And I was like, yeah, it's not like the bad jealousy. It's mostly like jealous of like, oh, they're there and I'm not. More say. It's kind of like when everyone goes on a field trip and you're homesick and you're jealous that everyone's there and you're stuck at home feeling like crap.
Okay. Well, I'm also going to ask you a bit about your first album and your second album as well. What led to the creation of those albums, and how much work did it take to throw them together, and how were they received?
So the first one, Bloom, disclaimer, don't look it up. It's a terrible album. It's very bad. Nothing is sidechained. There's no sub bass on some of them. It's very bad put together. But now the Bloom album, I was thinking up random names, so I was like, Bloom, okay, there's no story there. Virtual Resistance kind of had a story. It was mostly like to focus on the artists in the VR scene. Mostly the producers in the VR scene. So like there's a song with Jackknife. I did a song with Loprov and there was supposed to be way more artists, and Virtual Resistance was actually the first time I did a song with Whispers, and I was very happy about that. To get a song with Whispers, especially with me still being in my beginning stage, is actually when I got that collab, and I'm very happy to have worked with Whispers at the beginning stage, and that kind of shows you guys too that a lot of the VR producers love collaborating with underground acts. So, they might tell you they're busy and stuff like that, but don't be afraid to ask for collaborations if you want to collaborate with somebody. I cannot tell you how many times I was nervous to ask for a collaboration. And when I asked, it was either, sorry, I'm way too busy right now, and or it could be, yeah, I'm absolutely down. Like, fun fact, most of the collabs on this third album happened because I finally broke out of my shell from asking and just asked. That's all you got to do is ask. You never know. Like if they like give you like a snarky response, but you're like, no, I'm not open for collabs or stuff like that. If they don't say it in a nice, respectful way, like example, like I asked the well-known artist Snuffles if he wanted to do a song, and he respectfully got back to me, or they respectfully, I don't know their pronouns, but they respectfully got back to me and said, hey, I'm not really open for collabs. Thank you for reaching out though. And I was like, okay. If they message you back being like, no, I'm not open for collabs, then like, that's kind of like, oh, okay, it's fine. Sort of deal. That kind of gives me that mindset if they replied like that.
Well, I'll say on that note, we have found in our own acts and doing things here, a lot of people in VR chat are very open and willing to communicate and work with you. Like we've got probably every time we've sent a message out for, hey, you want to come on? We've got more yeses than nos. So I will double down on Timekeeper's point. don't be afraid to ask questions and reach out to people. People will be a lot more willing to work with you than you think.
Oh yeah, especially furries. Like, again with the outside scene, like if you message Excision asking for a collaboration, you're probably not gonna get a response, or you're just gonna get an instant no because he doesn't know who you are and stuff like that. But in the furry community, it's a way more different environment. Like, you go in, you ask somebody for a collaboration. Like, I got the occasional like saying like, hey, send me your stuff first, and then I'll get an answer. Like example, like when Snake Sing said that to me, and I was like, okay. So I sent him my songs, and he's like, oh, they were good. He never confirmed that he actually wanted to work on a song yet, but yeah, and that's kind of how the dance remix happened too. Was he posted a Twitter video of him saying like, nobody has ever remixed my songs before, and I was like, okay, bet, send me the stems to dance, and I'll do it. So I remixed dance, and that remix kind of took me off musically as well in the production side, and I was really happy to see that. The remix right now is at like 6,000 plays, which I never thought I'd see that on anything I make, but lo and behold, there it was, 6,000 plays. And the other thing was this artist named Pent Up Pup. I reached out to them for a collaboration, and they were like, oh, I need to know your discography before I really commit to anything. And I was like, okay, that's fair enough. I'll send you some music. And, at least they didn't do that thing that another artist did to me one time where they were like, your music's not good enough for me to collaborate with you.
Okay. So with
at least they don't do that.
So has anyone reached out to you for the same thing, and how did you respond to them?
There was a few people that reached out to me for collaborations. The Caliber one was actually pretty interesting story. So how Around You came out to be was Caliber posted a Twitter thing talking about like, oh, I can't remember how it went, but I remember the response that he posted was like, oh, you're asking for a collab with the fingers together. Oh, you want a collab with the fingers together emoji? And I was like, hell yeah. And the next thing you know, he sends me the song that he's working on with another artist, and he's like, oh, the artist isn't really like responding to me. And I just asked him, I was like, hey, is it all right if I hop on it? And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a drop for it, and I guess it's not really asking me, but the time where somebody asked me for a collaboration was it was nice, actually. So I can't believe it was nice, actually, with his background and his history and stuff like that. But I believe you guys are having him on the show, aren't you?
Yeah, we'll be doing a show with him this week, I believe.
Yeah, so nice, actually. After hearing the dance remix, I had asked him for a collaboration before, but it seemed like he was too busy, so I was like, okay, so he'll get to it when he can. But so after hearing the dance remix, he messaged me saying, okay, now I really want to work on a song with you and stuff like that. I was like, whoa, there's some excitement, commitment right there. And now he's on my third album, so it's pretty cool. I'm still yet waiting for him to send vocals for it, but nobody knows what it sounds like right now. I didn't send it to anybody, and that's for the reason of I don't want people to hear what it sounds like yet till the album comes out, or until they hear me play it out, obviously, because I'm gonna play it out in my sets, obviously. But and I think there was one more instance where somebody reached out to me for collaboration. It was crap, what's their name? Oh yeah, it was mostly like me asking for a vocalist to hop on a song, but nothing with Common Days or Robin. So Robin reached out after I posted a thing in the chat saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a vocalist to hop on this." I didn't really like ask anyone directly, so this kind of counts with your question. So I kind of was like, "Hey, are there any vocalists want to hop on this?" And then Robin reaches out and sends me a vocal draft of them singing Nothing. And I was blown away with their voice. Like, their voice sounded so rich, it sounded so clean, and it was perfect, the style I wanted to do with the song. So I was like, okay, you're in. That's kind of my message to people when they send me like vocal drafts, and I'm like, you're in. You're in the song, okay?
Okay, so I appreciate you go through that, and I'm going to gear away to a little bit into VR and shows. What have been some of your favorite shows or experiences you've done, either VR or real life? Hello, I'm here to interrupt your current video, ask you a favor. Down in the description, down that way, is a link, metaversedegen.card.co, which you have a whole bunch of other places. If you wish to continue following us, we have a Twitter, which I run for us, which you get updates and other stuff and random thoughts from me. We have a Discord where Raptor, I, and the entire crew and all the other people we know will be over there hanging out. We game there fairly regularly or hang out in there, so feel free to go over that way and come chat with us. We'd love to meet you. We have a Spotify now, surprise. Everything from a couple weeks ago forward, we'll have our Spotify content on Fridays. If I remember, we'll put some of our old content forward, but we're going to keep up with our current content on Spotify. So if you wish to watch it there or listen to it there, it'll be there for you as well. Also, we have a Patreon, which we have a whole other show, which we haven't been keeping up with, but we're doing our best. But we have a whole other show there for you as well. We would like to give a huge thanks to some of our supporters over that way, which is Future Oracle, Aliquum, Niche, and Forbidden Zero, all of which we thank you very much for everything, and hopefully we'll see you around and you continue to enjoy the content. Enjoy the current video. Bye-bye.
I will say with bias, Corbell's events. Corbell's events have been a huge game changer for me, because before, when I would play for these chat clubs, like before Corbell's events, I'm just gonna be blunt, I felt like nobody really cared about the original music I was playing out. Like, people were mostly there for the sets, and that's fine. I mean, if it's not your musical taste, okay, fine. Like, I'm not gonna force you to listen to something you don't want to, but I felt like nobody really cared about the original music I was playing. But when I started playing for Corbell's events, his community was a little different. They actually, because they're probably so used to performers playing on the lineup, they're probably expecting the same out of DJs. So when I played my original music, people seemed to care a little more than all the other clubs that I played for. And so Corbell's events, every single time he books me for something, I always get really excited, and I always get on this grind to make new music, because pretty much every single time I do, people seem to like really care about the music I play out. And there's been many times where somebody has came up to me and said, "Yo, the music you make is pretty sick." And I got a compliment from Bardic RJ one time, and I was pretty excited.
Okay, so how long have you been playing with Corbell's community, may I ask?
I've been playing with what? Sorry.
Ooh, how long have you been playing with Corbell's community?
Since Jingle Bells Jam last year. Jingle Bells Jam was when I joined, and then I played for their New Year's thing, and I knew about the whole Vrchat cease and desist that thing he's been doing, and I first heard of it through a friend of mine who was playing there, and I was like, oh, that seems like a pretty cool festival. You know, Whispers is there, and Wednesday singing. You get all the it's pretty much like I call cease and desist fest literally the Coachella of the furry community, and this was before I knew it was called Vrchat. So like I called it like, oh, this is literally like freaking like ultra music festival in a nutshell, or Lollapalooza, for example, where you get all these performers into one place and it's all one big family. And it's actually how I met quite a bit of furry musicians, actually, not through like all that FWA drama that happened, but also through the Corbell's community. You know, that's when I discovered people like Soul Major and Johnny K9 and a bunch of these other artists. And yeah. Oh, by the way, Johnny and Soul Major are on the album too.
Nice.
The Johnny song is already out, but the Soul Major song is an ID right now. Yeah, Corbell's community is amazing. Like, he's done a lot for me. I'm basically joked around with him saying, you're basically, well, actually no, I've joked with Glitch, saying you're basically my manager at that point, because Glitch is actually the one that hooked me up with you guys.
Glitch does a lot of work, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm quite impressed with his work ethic. I'll wake up, it would be for me 5 a.m. or I'll be up at the time it's his 5 a.m. and he's still going. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's really crazy the amount of stuff he does.
Indeed. So with your with the new album coming out, when do you expect to release it, may I ask?
So I have a release date locked in. I'm planning for the Friday of the weekend of Vernal Equinox. Ironically, that's when my EP Dark Mode came out. But I'm hoping for the weekend of Vernal Equinox, mainly because it seems like a lot. I told all the artists I'm collaborating with that the hard deadline to get your vocals in is March. For that reason, because I wanted to release the album in March. I didn't want it to release way too late in the year. I didn't want it to release it in June, because like I felt like that was gonna be like, great, we waited 2 whole years for this album and stuff like that. So the release date is hopefully the weekend of Vernal Equinox, and so that way, if I do get selected for there, the album release will be way more impactful, because I get to say on the mic, hey guys, guess what? My album came out either today or yesterday, and kind of promote it for everyone to go listen to. Maybe I'll get more plays from that. No, I'm joking. I don't really care about plays. I don't really care about attention and all that. I always have to make that disclaimer, because sometimes my jokes get people thinking that I actually care about. Obviously, I care about plays and stuff like that. It's not like I don't want plays at all, but like, I'm not like that type of person that's like, I'm doing this just so I can get plays and money and all that. You know, that classic industry thing. Google.
You know what? That's fair. So what after you've been playing for VRChat through for Bell's communities and furality and started growing, what was your first real life show like, and how did that impact you as an artist?
So when I got on stage for Howl, I didn't really feel anything, and mainly because like nobody was watching me, so like it was not really like that nerve-wracking. But the minute I stepped in front of a crowd, which was Vancouver, that's when the nerves really started to kick in. I was like, oh my god, I'm actually playing in front of like a live audience, and it's not like in VRChat where everything's pre-recorded, so I get to be like, oh, okay. But like in the whole VR scene, it was like, in the whole IRL scene too, was like every time I would get on stage in the IRL scene, like the nerves start kicking in. I start thinking that like as soon as I press play, everyone's gonna leave. Luckily for VF 2022, I was the first DJ up, so and the minute I saw everyone packing in and like actually enjoying the set I was doing, that kind of made me think like, wow, people actually enjoy the stuff I play. And then stuff didn't really get into high gear when I played for Furry, which is a convention in Edmonton. Ironically, I got accepted the first year I went. That was pretty crazy. And so I played for that con, and that con was actually the very first con in a situation I was put in where I was given a little bit of a challenge. They didn't allow cursing at all, so I had to put together a set that had no cursing in it. You know, it went well. Like I didn't get kicked out or anything like that. And how it impacted me as an artist were when I played on CDJs for the first time, because I was playing with my controller that later died on me after VF 2022. Or no, it died on me after Howl 2022, actually. So I played on CDJs for the first time, and I actually felt legit. Like, I actually felt like a real headlining artist playing on CDJs, because that's what all the other pros use, and my brain is just thinking, yeah, I made it.
Oh, so how was the experience playing in real life different from what you've done in VR?
I think I can actually engage with the crowd more on IRL than I can on VR, because obviously VR, I can expect who's going to come out, because they can put themselves undergoing, or they can say, oh, I'm excited for this guy, you know, sort of thing. But here's the thing with a con, I have no idea who's going to come out. Like, it's not like predictable. Like, people can show up and then they can leave like halfway through the set, and that's fine. Like, I've played with nobody there before, like, and I don't care who shows up. Like, even if it's somebody I don't like, I don't care if they show up to my set, you know, I'll respectfully say, hey, thank you for coming out. Like, that sort of thing. And I think it's like I can engage with the crowd more. Like, I can actually, like, people can actually see me like jumping around and stuff like that, and I'm not like, you know, like, I'm no hand trackers to like not keep up with my tracking in my hands. Like, I actually And also, I kind of treat DJing as like a workout, where like every time I get on stage, like I've lost weight from DJing before, and I love that. I love that I can work out and have fun too.
Hmm. You know, as the saying goes, if you enjoy what you do, it'll never be work. I'm gonna change. I know I altered that on purpose.
Exactly.
Hmm. Okay. So now I'll ask you another tough question. Would you rather only do live or VR shows?
Oh, that is a tough one. I'd say VR. I would say VR because like if I were to never do IRL conventions, at least there are a lot of with VR. It's not. I don't have to drop a ton of money just to play a show. Like example, I don't have to like say like if I was like playing at like Anthrocon or something, I don't have to drop like thousands and thousands of dollars just to go out there and play a set. Um, so sorry, I'm plugging in my headset. Um, so like if I were to like go out to a con, I would have to spend a ton of money just to go out there and play a show. But in VR, I don't got to spend anything. Like I can just set up my decks, play a show, and that's it. Like
Hmm.
no extra cost.
Hmm.
So I'd say VR.
Okay. So how has your experience in VR helped improve you as an artist?
I say it's improved me a lot, mainly because, I mean, if you look back at my first ever furality set, you could tell that the transitions were very rough, and like I didn't know what key and beat matching was. I used sync button all the time. I still use sync button, um, but I think like it has helped me improve not only with you know like with just writing music in general because I have so many music production friends that play VR that have given me really helpful advice on mixing and mastering and sound design and all that. Um, but it's also helped me with DJing because at the end of every set, I get feedback from people saying like, "Oh, you know, this is that. Oh, this was clipping. That was a little too loud. That transition was a little too rough." And I love positive feedback. Like as long as you're nice about it, I'll take it as constructive. I'm not that type of person to be like, "You're wrong. My transitions are rough," and stuff like that. The only time I've ever said to somebody that they were wrong was, well, it wasn't saying they were wrong, but the DJ coordinator Kaiju complained about clipping in my mix for my Furality Aqua set, but the songs I was playing were supposed to be clipping because that's the sound design thing. Back in the day, distortion was very frowned upon in the EDM scene, but now everybody's doing it, and I had to send Razor a bunch of songs from the artist I was playing to be like, see, the mix is supposed to be clipping, like, and he's like, oh, thanks for letting me know. I was like, yeah, no problem. I mean, like, I don't want this to be a problem in the future, so I figured I'd let you know.
Hmm. Okay. So do you see yourself as a VR artist or an artist in general?
I think I see myself, now that I'm playing like IRL shows and VR shows, I think I just see myself as an artist. Like, like everyone always asks me, like, would I rather be a furry musician or a touring artist? And I think I'll be both. I don't want to be a touring artist, mainly because if I'm a touring artist, I will have no time to work on music. And to me that's bad. And I don't like working on the road. Like I rarely work on music on the road. It's I either do it either for a panel or something, but um I think I'd rather be both. I think I'd rather play shows IRL and be in VR because then I can achieve to people who have never people who have never been to a con before can still go to one of my sets and go nuts. But in the IRL scene, they can actually see me play IRL. They can see my physical face. They can interact with me physically and stuff like that, and you know, do all that fun stuff.
Okay. So I'll ask you another question: is what have been some of your favorite fan interactions you've had?
Fan interactions. At FE, somebody recognized me for HFF and my music. So I was walking around, and all of a sudden I hear, "Oh my God, is that Hex?" Because I was going by Hexagon Jack at the time. They're like, "Oh my God, is that Hexagon Jack?" And I was like, "What? Hello? Who said my name?" And then they were like, "Over here, man." And I walk up to them. They're like, "Yo, do you mind if I get a picture with you?" I was like, absolutely. So we took a picture together. It's actually the first time somebody's ever asked me for a picture. And I had no fursuit on. I didn't have a fursuit, but yet they still asked me for a picture. I even told them, I was like, "Are you sure? I don't have a suit on." And they're like, "No, man, come on, let's take a picture." So I took a picture with them, and you know, I don't always treat I don't treat my fans as fans. I treat them as my friends. Like I talk to them. I talk to them as I do with my friends and stuff like that. For example, Coyote is a fan of my music, but I don't treat him as a fan. I treat him as a friend. Like I send him stuff. I talk to him, and stuff like that. But this guy, I never got the contact information for, and I'm sad because, you know, I wanted to get to know that guy more if he was willing to ask me for a picture just like that. And I don't even know how he recognized me because at that time, I didn't really post my face out there. Like, I was kind of, I wasn't really insecure about it, but I was mostly like, my face didn't need to be the center of my brand and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I didn't know how he recognized me, but, it's a crazy fan interaction. I'm lucky I don't have the fan interactions of Justin Bieber. I will say that right now.
Ah, yes. His fans are something else.
His fans are, I will say it, I'll say it with a smile on my face, his fans are psychos.
To be fair, most of his fans are preteen and teenage girls, so yeah, you can't really blame teenagers for being teenagers.
Teens will be teens.
Indeed. So HFF, Hexagon Furry Fest. How did that come about? And
Hex Furry Fest.
Hex Furry Fest. I'm sorry. I apologize. How has HFF, how did that get started, and what has some of the first events been like?
So like I said before, it started with me watching this music festival and, building stages around it, yada, yada, yada. You already heard the story. But pretty much how it grew was we started off in the Porter Robinson world, the Secret Sky. And we started off in that world, and then we didn't get our first official world built, I think, until Winter Wonderland. And then Winter Wonderland, it wasn't furality when I first met Kaiju. It was actually, or when I first met Razor, it was actually an HFF event. And HFF is actually how I've met a few people as well who have performed for us. And, that's how I met people like DJ Foxy and a bunch of staff members that worked for us. It's actually how I met Grovel, that does Grovel reports and everything like that. And also, that's a recommendation for you guys to interview as well. Grovel works for me on HFF. She does this whole reports channel where she's kind of like the furry news, for say. She reports on like anything that's happening in the furry community, and that's a recommendation for you guys to interview because she's pretty interesting to talk to. Like, she knows her stuff with furry conventions.
We'd love to have her on.
Yeah, no. Yeah, with the whole HFF thing when I started.
I'd love to meet her.
Yeah. The whole HFF thing, how we grew was we started getting more world developers and more, people working for us. And, with our most recent one, HFF 7, To the Moon, that was probably my favorite world they ever did. Mainly because I love space themes. Like, every time something does a space theme, I always go like, hell yeah. Because there's so much you can do. And ironically, the intro song that I played for my HFF set was called Spaceship Launch. And it was, I put it together, and, my staff does amazing job at putting together worlds, and I'm super proud with how far they came as well. Like, they started off as like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, and then they come off creating these, like, they started creating, like, we had like the hologram system in our world, and the hologram looked amazing this year. It looked better than the one we had last time, and I was very happy to see that. And with the amount of stuff they can do, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, what do you call it, like, the whole like, you know, HFF is actually how I first found out about. You guys might know it. VRCDN. Our
Yes.
one of our formal, yeah, one of our formal staff members, Roxy, actually told us about VRCDN, saying, "Guys, I have a solution to that." Because back in the day, when before VRCDN was a thing, well, it's probably always been a thing. I don't really know the history behind it, but um, cons would just stream from Twitch and posted a link in the world and would play it that way. And there was a huge delay between the stream cameras and stuff like that. VRCDN was to help cut down on that delay time. And when Roxy first showed us about the whole VRCDN thing, I was pretty impressed with him recommending to the world. And ever since then, we've used VRCDN for pretty much most of our events, and we never looked back.
Oh, wow. So how has running HFF with you and your team, what has it been like for you going from playing an event to running one? Or being a part?
From playing an event to running one was so when I first played for Furality existed before HFF. I want to clear the error up there. So when I first played for HFF, but when I first created it, I was like, wow, like I'm actually like starting up my own event. Like, you know, this is gonna be pretty crazy. And we started getting well known in the space. Like a lot of people, a lot of DJs have been calling us the furality, the rejected furality DJ pool, where like if all the furalities if all the furality DJs don't get in to the next furality, they flock on over to HFF and apply there. And or they flock on over to other clubs and apply there too. But like our event gets most of the rejected furality DJs, and you know, we had a record-breaking application count this year. We had like 60 applications, which is the most I've ever seen from us. And it's gone to a point where I decided, okay, we need a DJ team instead of just one guy, because if we're getting this many people applying, we're gonna need a team of people. But I look back, I look back at the Furality I played, the first one. I look back at the first one I played, and I think to myself, crap, my headset didn't plug in. I look to myself, and I say, wow, I can't believe I was playing an event and now I'm running one. My arm's not working. Hello, VRchat. You're gonna
I have
let me use my arms?
So I have another question for you. How many events has HFF run, and what have been some of your favorite moments from HFF?
Okay, I can't move my hands anymore for some reason, but sorry, repeat the question. I kind of blanked out there.
It's a-okay. How many events has HFF run, and what have been some of your favorite moments from HFF?
Okay, I'm back. All right, I clicked the wrong button. Sorry, repeat that again.
How many events has Hex run, and what have been some of your moments from HFF?
Okay, you guys can cut those technical difficulties out if you want. But the events that we've run 8 so far. No, 7. Yeah, we've run 7 so far. And I think my favorite moment from Hex Furry Fest was the amount of well-known furs that came out to check us out. My favorite moment was when we actually had Dalton from Furality show up to HFF for a little bit, and this was at the recent one. And I saw him on stream, and I was like, oh my god, he actually came out. Because, like, I rarely see Dalton at other events, because he's a really busy guy, and, you know, he's got other stuff going on. And the fact that he took the time to show up to HFF to check it out, he knew of us. Like, he knew of HFF, but I assume he just didn't have the time to come check it out. And when I saw him there, I was like, wow, like, and my one of my board members, Fex, comes to me and was like, "We did it, Jack! We got Dalton to come out to HFF." I was like, I know, it's pretty cool, and I always love to see like other event runners and other well-known furs come out to check out HFF, and I feel so accomplished when that happens because like I want to put together a crazy event for people to part of me and my staff's journey is our goal is to like make a really cool event for people to come out to and enjoy some music. And that was the whole purpose of it, was like I wanted to create an event focusing on the DJs instead of having panels in between and people having to go like, oh, I need to go to this panel, I need to go to that panel, and I'm gonna miss this DJ because of this panel. So I wanted an event that solely focuses on the DJ instead of like the other content in a convention. Like, say, people call us a convention, but we're obviously not. We're a music festival.
Okay.
I was like, do you see a dealer's den anywhere?
Okay. So, what have been some of your favorite moments with your staff throughout these 7 or 8 events you've run?
I think my favorite moment with my staff is all like it's not like all like serious sort of thing. Like, I think my favorite moment with the staff is when we have meetings. We always have fun with the meetings. Like, it's not just all like serious and business ties and talking about like crunching numbers and stuff like that. We have fun. Every day. I crack a joke here and there, and so does the staff, and we have fun in the meetings. It's not all like, oh, we got to get this world done. All right, everybody, I'm gonna hit you with my whip to get all the staff going and stuff like that. We have fun. We're not doing HFF for profit. We're not doing HFF for popularity or anything like that. We're doing HFF because we love music and we want people to have a nice positive experience, and I make sure that my staff are happy and nobody's stressed out from anything, and that's pretty much that.
Okay. So, what is the next HFF event and when is it due to happen?
To be determined. That's all I gotta say. To be determined.
Fair. Well, I hope everyone who's watching who's interested, hop over that way for when it is determined, and go check it out or apply.
I don't really know when we have a date set. It's usually like Gravel spouts out a date, and I'm like, okay, those are our dates.
Well, with that said, Timekeeper, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing about your entire tale and all your adventures, so thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
You know it. Thank you again.
Oh,
It's interesting.
One last thing.
yes.
I actually have one last thing for any beginner producers out there. When you're writing an idea, try not to get too stressed out over it. Because today I got stressed out because I couldn't write a melodic idea. And another thing too, very, very important, avoid those freaking tutorials out there that are disguised as sample pack ads. They don't care whether or not you learn anything. They just want you to buy their sample packs. Avoid those videos. They're not going to teach you jack squat. They're just going to say, hey, here's how you sound like Skrillex. Buy my sample pack and you'll be able to sound like Skrillex. That's another thing. And another thing too is don't feel afraid to reach out to me and ask me for music production advice. I would be more than happy to help you out. And one last piece of advice too is just watch music production live streams and don't feel afraid to ask for help when you need help. I mean, a music production friend that knows a decent thing about music production, just reach out to them and see if they'll be willing to help. Maybe give you some resources like plugins and stuff like that. Plugin recommendations, I should say.
After this is over, could you send some advice for tools and plugins for people to go use for your own suggestions? We can put in the descriptions for links for people to go look for.
Yeah, plugins I immediately recommend is if you don't have Ableton, OTT, amazing plugin, multi-band compressor, it's free. Synth also is Serum. If you don't want to buy Serum, they do have a rent-to-own thing on Splice. That's like $9 a month. And if you really don't want Serum, there's also a free alternative you can get, which is called Vital. Amazing synth. I use that synth a lot sometimes when I can. Another plugin recommendation I could give is this plugin called Unfiltered Audio Spec Ops. It's a way to easily, you can, with certain settings, you can easily manipulate samples into completely different things, and it's pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of plugins for me to choose to recommendation, but those are like my hardcore, like, I recommend you get these plugins. And the stock stuff does work. You can absolutely use stock plugins as well.
Okay. So the biggest question now is, where can the audience find you if they wish to find you?
Pretty much. My socials. Once this video is up, I'll put my link tree down in the description if you're too lazy to search. But pretty much everywhere I go by T1M3K33P3R. The same goes for my Spotify, my SoundCloud, my Bandcamp, anywhere. And I also have a Patreon as well that I upload to alongside my music production tutorials. I do that as well. I mainly started that to filter out all of those, like I mentioned before, all those tutorials that are like, here's how to sound like Excision. First buy my sample pack and you can sound like Excision. So I mainly started my tutorial series just to kind of filter out those tutorials and cover topics people don't really do. So I started up a Patreon alongside with that, so you guys can get some pretty cool music production knowledge from there too. You can see the full track breakdown to my remix of Dance I did for JT and Nice, and I plan to upload there more. I am going to be soon uploading a melodic bass tutorial. I already wrote out an idea for it. So, yeah, that's going to be teaching people about melodic stuff.
Ooh. Well, if you're interested in any of that, please go in the description and click those links and go check out all of Timekeeper's stuff, as well as some other fun things down there, like the plugins he's mentioned. And if you wish to send more, we'll put all of those down there as well. The description, lots of fun stuff down there. And before we close all of this off to give it to Raptor, we'll ask you, the audience member, a question, which is, what is your favorite music or song? Let us know. Tell us why and the story behind it right down in the comment section. We'd love to read about it. And Raptor, as always, you know the thing.
You got it. No matter what you do, folks, I keep saying this, a dream's a dream. But when you fill that dream, it's like a basket full of eggs. Just don't crack the wrong one, because it might be worthwhile. But if you do, you're going to make an omelet. And if you make too many omelets, who are you going to feed them to? People out there. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Night. Yeah, we had one hell of a turnout here and everything else like this. It's great to see all the people and stuff like this, but have you noticed? They're getting less and less. I haven't seen anybody around in a while. I just can't figure out why.
Well, it's been a long time since anyone's even been here to begin with. It's been, what, months?
Yeah, months, man. I just can't believe.
Guys?
Yeah?
Nova, how you doing,
Hey.
buddy? I haven't seen you in a while.
Doing good. Y'all realized Fest has been over for a while now, right?
It has?
We've already
No
passed
shit.
HorrorCon and we've already passed HorrorCon and now we're on to VCAT. Winter VCAT,
Oh,
mind you.
shit. No shit. You did get the tickets for VCAT, didn't you?
Sure.
We did so much fun. And wow, I hope there's a poll at the end of this, because I'm going to go flying.
Hello, sir. Welcome to our airline. Your ticket, please.
3 to Japan?
3. So you only need 1 ticket.
Oh, no, there's 2 more down here.
Sir, I'm so sorry. Pets are not allowed in the cabin. You must store them down below.
That mistake, because that's not a
What?
pet.
Fuck, pet. Pet. What the hell is she talking about? Goddamn pets.
Man, that's some bullshit. I'm out of here.
What the hell? Wait, I gotta go with you too. What the hell?
Oh my. I am so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to upset your squirrel.
It's not a
What do you
squirrel.
mean, fucking squirrel? What the hell? I ain't looking for my nut. This is an airport. What the hell? God damn it.
Oh, dear.
Son of a bitch. I get harassed every goddamn time I get on a goddamn airplane. I'm not a
I'm
goddamn
so sorry,
squirrel.
sir. You'll have to control your pet, otherwise I'll have to get security.
It's okay. I'll give him some nuts. He'll be a lot happier. He becomes a lot happier squirrel when you feed
What?
him.
Oh, goddamn friends. Always trying to stuff nuts in my mouth.
Don't miss out for Winter VCAT, December 7th through the 22nd. See you there.
Next, please. Hello, sir. Your ticket, please.
Yes, one for Japan.
Thank you very much. Are you okay, sir?
Yeah, no, I'm okay, but thank you.
No problem. You are checked in. Enjoy your flight, sir.
Thank you.